Good morning and welcome, good afternoon actually, and welcome to the June meeting of the Finance Committee meeting. We're up here in Albany. Everybody who's present on the committee. First item up on the agenda, behind tab 2, are the meeting minutes from the May meeting of the Finance Committee. It was May 9th or May 10th? May 9th, I think it was. Anyway, take a motion to approve those meeting minutes. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries. We have a couple of matters up on the agenda. First up, behind tab 4, Steve is going to present us with the Master BOCES leasing funding revenue bonds for Nassau County. Steve?
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
This single approval staff report presents tax-exempt fixed-rate bond issue of amount not to exceed $14 million to advance refund all or a portion of the Series 2009 bonds issued by DASNY on behalf of the Nassau County BOCES. The Nassau BOCES also has Series 2011 bonds outstanding with DASNY. The bonds are expected to be rated AA2 by Moody's. Security will include annual rental payments to be made pursuant to a lease agreement with the Nassau BOCES. Direct intercept to the state comptroller of any state aid due to Nassau BOCES for rental payments on the DASNY lease agreement. A pledge of public funds apportioned by the state to Nassau BOCES, state due to Nassau BOCES in an amount sufficient to pay such rentals. Subordinate to pledges granted in connection with other outstanding Nassau BOCES DASNY bonds. There will also be a 1/2-year debt service reserve fund or reserve fund facility. And bond insurance may be considered depending on its availability and economic efficiency. The refunding bonds will have a final maturity which will not exceed the final maturity of the bonds being refunded. The refunding is expected to result in net present value savings of approximately $826,000 or 6.9% of the bonds being refunded. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Any questions, concerns?
Steve, I'm sure you don't know for sure that you don't really expect there to be much.
If, AA2 rating, you don't expect that to be no question.
Thank you. No questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Can I please get a motion to recommend approval of this offering at tomorrow's full board meeting? Thank you, gentlemen. Second, thank you, Mr. Chair. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That motion carries. Next up, tab 5, Dave, Rockefeller University.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Dave.
The Finance Committee is being asked to recommend to the full board one series of tax-exempt and/or taxable fixed and/or variable rate bonds in an amount not to exceed $102 million with a term not to exceed 35 years on behalf of the Rockefeller University. Bond proceeds will be used to refund all or a portion of the Rockefeller University Series 2009 B bonds, which have a current par amount outstanding of $100 million. The 2009 B bonds are variable rate demand bonds, which currently bear interest in a weekly rate mode, which essentially means the interest rate is determined based on the results of a weekly remarketing of the bonds by a remarketing agent. Those bonds have a liquidity facility provided by U.S. Bank in the form of a standby bond purchase agreement. And similar to other Rockefeller Universities, so their other outstanding bonds, the 2009 B bonds were structured with a bullet maturity on July 1st of 2040. The Series 2017 bonds, which will be issued to refund the Series 2009 B bonds, are expected to be sold through a private placement with TD Bank. These bonds are expected to be issued as variable rate with an interest rate reset monthly based on the tax-exempt equivalent of a 30-day LIBOR plus a spread. TD Bank has agreed to hold the bonds for a period of 10 years from the date of the closing, at which point there will be a mandatory tender if the university does not refinance or negotiate a renewal with the bank. The final maturity will be extended to match the useful life of the asset that was originally financed with the 2009 B bonds up to a maximum of 35 years. And since this is a bullet maturity, it's expected that there would be no principal amortization during the whole period. There's a few reasons why the university is choosing to refund the 2009 B variable rate bonds, one of which is sort of to reduce their exposure to variable rate demand bonds. Rockefeller has a total of 3 series of VRDBs outstanding, which total $250 million, which includes the 2009 B bonds. So this refunding would reduce that exposure by $100 million. And essentially, they would remain in variable rate mode, but this would be based on an index instead of a weekly remarketing. Also, a couple other reasons related to the liquidity facility that's associated with the 2009 B bonds. That liquidity facility, the rating of that bank impacts the short-term rating, so any downgrade to that bank would result in a higher interest cost to Rockefeller. There's also renewal risk. That facility needs to be renewed every 3 years. So by privately placing this bonds, this takes away the risk of not being able to obtain a suitable facility at an acceptable price. And lastly, there's also a cost to the remarketing agent and a cost related to the liquidity of this facility, and both of those would be eliminated with the private placement. Looking at Rockefeller, DASNY's issued bonds for the last 40 years for Rockefeller, totaling over $1.1 billion, which includes most recently the 2015 financing for the River campus, which is currently under construction and will extend the university's campus over the FDR Drive. These bonds will be privately placed, well, they will not be rated, but the university's publicly offered bonds are rated AA+ by S&P and AA1 from Moody's. The university's reputation in the field of biomedical research enables it to draw on a diverse revenue sources, which include government grants, philanthropy, and investment income. And when looking at Rockefeller's balance sheet, they have a very large financial resource base, which is a result of the strong fundraising efforts as well as a history of sizable investment returns. So as of June 30th, 2016, the university had total net assets of over $2.3 billion and expendable resources totaling over $1.9 billion. And those expendable resources are reflected in a strong viability ratio of 2.6 times, as well as a very strong primary reserve ratio, which measured 5.4 to 1 as of fiscal year end 2016. The one sort of downside to Rockefeller is they do have a high debt burden, much of which is related to the capital expansion that they've gone through over the past few years. So they do have a higher debt burden ratio than the DASNY median, 9.8% versus 4.5%. But with this being a refunding, the university will not be adding any additional debt to their balance sheet. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm probably the only person at the table that doesn't know this, but what is the esplanade adjacent to the campus? And I see they're establishing $1 million endowment to maintain the landscaping. What is an esplanade?
So they're essentially building out over the FDR Drive, and I believe there's a section of that that's like a public area, park space, that sort of thing.
Like
So they've agreed to.
Pretty over the water.
Right.
Is it pretty?
Very attractive.
Yeah. I should go over
You should. You live not too far from
there.
work.
I've just never seen the word before. Esplanade.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like in Brooklyn, like along the, above the BQE, the whole walkway up top there.
Sure.
Like
In the Shake area in San Francisco is actually called, the region is actually called, yes, something like
Under a
That's
rock.
what you learn. When is that expansion completed?
2019.
Soon, right? You can see it going up over.
I didn't have any questions, David. Not really. Not anymore.
No, I'm good.
Concerns? Hearing none, can I please get a motion to recommend approval at tomorrow's board meeting? Move. Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries. Thank you very much. Okay, next up, we have a TELP financing for a portion. Actually, we have two, right? SUNY and the first up is
Behind tab 6 is a TELP financing on behalf of Maimonides Medical Center in an amount not to exceed $25 million. As you know, it's a current policy of Public Authorities Control Board that TELP leases which exceed $10 million in a 12-month period be brought before the DASNY board and PACB for approval. There is an attached equipment list which includes various IT, operating room, physician exam area equipment. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Health signs off on this, right?
We did, in fact, just signed off on it today.
Timely question. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, can I, is there any questions?
No, sir.
Hearing none, can I get a motion?
I shall move.
Thank you, second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None, that motion carries. Last but not least is the TELF for SUNY Syracuse.
Behind tab 7 is the TELP financing on behalf of SUNY University Hospital at Syracuse in an amount not to exceed $23.2 million. Again, it's a policy of the Public Authorities Control Board that financings which exceed $10 million in a 12-month period be brought before the DASNY board in case of approval. There's an attached equipment list which reflects various types of equipment, including information technology, nursing, and radiology equipment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And Health is that,
This, technically, there were no applications to approve, but we did review the adult financing.
thank you. Any questions? No, sir. Hearing none, is a motion to recommend approval at tomorrow's board meeting.
So move.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. That motion carries. Unless there's any questions or concerns, that's going to conclude today's agenda, and I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, thank you. All in favor, aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.